Mm-hmm.
Can we try a start now?
Yes.
Yes? Is working now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes? Is working now?
Yes.
We have here this presentation. Good morning, United States. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Good morning, Slovenia. I'm doing well. And you?
Wonderful. We just wish see how this working on. If we see each other, can you have camera just a second? We wish see your face.
Yes, of course.
You can see me?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful, but I cannot see myself. I see.
Let's see if I can help.
We will go online after 10 minutes.
How does that work?
This is very black and nothing to see. Oh, better.
There we go here.
Wonderful.
There we go.
So we will prepare.
Yes. Sure. No problem.
So we will prepare you. Are you prepared? Are you right? Are you right? Paul, just a little bit left.
Okay.
I don't see anything now. Just left. Before was better. I don't know why the camera maybe too close.
It should be working.
Yeah, I see you now. Maybe it's stand there.
Oh, I know.
So,
This is my goal.
wonderful. Martin, can you, just a second. Can we prepare no picture here? So the climate changes. I wish see you here, Paul, every year, and we never can see each other and find each other. So, yeah, better. But I don't know which slides how we will working on. Yeah. So, Paul, we see you. Martin, can you check in live if they can see us or hear us, if it's everything right?
Yes. It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's running. They can hear us, they can see us.
Yes.
So I must see like 10 minutes. Right? Then we started.
All right.
Martin, we cannot hear. Online se ne čuje. Evo, zvučnike da nam dobiju. I mikrofon. Gostje, izvolite si samo sesti, mi bomo počasi začeli polniti dvorano, ker mi smo že v živo, bomo začeli s predavanjem. Kar izvolite si vzeti prostor.
Ja, prosim, da nekako rekli svoje pa. Paul, a couple of words here for this week.
Yes.
Talk about it $5. You've been there this religion. How many years?
This is the last thing for my and just go to town to join the
should be more sound though.
Couple of minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It's okay.
So, it's a beautiful night tonight in California.
Yeah, how?
Yeah.
How in the morning? How many of those series?
Yes.
We have a tour of those Hemp, first time legal life session. Yeah. It's not here, so we get speakers
I'm very happy for you. All right, well, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning here. I had a cup of coffee earlier to wake myself up. Yeah, I need to, one thing is when you take me 1 minute. Yeah, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay?
govorimo i zdaj će kao što intervjuje, radi se bez te kaže i ja sam tak rekla v vsakem primeru idealno biti da se to ne predvidimo, pa se na to to da zdravje imate za zdravje na pol življenja. Gospod KRUSE je iz Evropske izvedbene ja, in mogoče bom dal koji su najveći splozdrženi eno takšno kratko izjavo, kad gledamo to. Za dobro cenu, ker ne da rekli vidimo, ki je sploh pa smatra povedal izjavo. Mrs. Illustrated, she will write about CBD and this even go in any hospital, in any ambulance is actually free. Yes? Yes, do you have time or later? Više čakamo sve to mojne, bila telefone i damo više u sve poklita na televiziji. Ja vam da je here on info. Actually, okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. Consideration.
Alles klar, alles zusammen, alles gut.
It's important for us
Und da wird es als am Ende.
to consider and to act upon. That's what it really is. How's that?
Das ist cool.
Tell me your home.
Im Büro? Ja, und wenn sie dann auch spielen, dann so. Aktuelle Zuschauerzahl 3. Also sind noch nicht so viele wach, ne? Aber hier halt schön aufnehmen, ne? Und TV-Qualität und so, schön HD und genau, dass man das so nochmal da hat und so. Also müssen wir das Publikum jetzt mal so setzen, dass nee, ach, das ist okay. Die 3 Köpfe da, das ist ja nicht so das Problem. Dann gibt es natürlich eine Kopie für euch, wenn ihr wollt, so schön und groß und so, kann man noch was weiter verwenden oder so. Ja, das ist cool. So soll es sein, oder? Yes, everything's fine.
Next up, now we can start the poll. Okay. We start with the poll, with opening ceremony for other administrators there. If you wish, I will just read for the talk about this here This is original. I don't know.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Test. Test. Hello.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Let's try it like this. Test. Start in a few seconds.
Thank you. So we opened World Hemp Congress 216 with all my colleagues and friends from all around the world. We have in the line already Paul from HARTMANN. He will talk about climate changes. This is thematic of this year. And please, Paul, you are ready?
Yes, I am ready. Thank you, Majda.
Very welcome from California Ministry of Cannabis. Please open our Congress this year. Word is yours.
Thank you so much, Majda. Friends, I am very honored to be opening the World Hemp Congress this year in 2016. And I'm speaking with you live from California up near Mount Shasta. And I am essentially introducing information about cannabis and climate change that I think deserves to be considered. I learned about the relationship between cannabis and climate change in 2006 when I read an article in the Guardian News. And the article reported on the work that was being done in Sweden by climate scientists there who were studying the boreal forests and the atmospheric aerosols that are produced by those forests. And those aerosols were discovered to serve as protection for the Earth from the sun by reflecting the solar radiation, the UVB radiation, away from the Earth, and also serving as cloud condensation nuclei that form bright and persistent clouds. So these atmospheric aerosols, which are known as monoterpenes, are molecules that go up into the atmosphere. They are the fragrant molecules that we can smell with our noses, and these wonderful smells go up into the stratosphere and actually physically refract solar radiation away from the planet. Well, the boreal forests of the northern hemispheres produce these aerosols, but also the marine phytoplankton in the ocean also produce the same atmospheric monoterpenes that perform the same function. So between the boreal forests and the marine phytoplankton, quite a volume of terpenes have been produced historically by these organisms. Well, the climate scientists hadn't really figured this out until we'd already killed half of the boreal forests and about 40% of the marine phytoplankton that produce these atmospheric aerosols. And so consequently, there's about twice as much UVB radiation that is reaching the surface of the planet than was the case as recently as just 50 years ago. And so the increase in UVB radiation presents many, many problems to geochemical relationships in the environment that determine the quality of life on this planet. They also serve to produce a protection that nothing else produces. And so when I read the article in the Guardian News about the terpenes in the atmosphere, I realized that cannabis produces an exceptional, extraordinary volume of terpenes also. And it became obvious to me that cannabis was needed in order to replenish the terpenes that have been lost with the death of the boreal forests and the marine phytoplankton. Cannabis is the only crop that produces the volume of terpenes necessary to shield the earth from the sun in the time that we may have left to make a difference. And the effects of increased UVB radiation are very, very severe. And among the effects of what I call global broiling by UVB radiation are immune suppression, abnormal cell growth, increased disruption of the normal systems of the planet that have developed under conditions that have changed dramatically over a very short period of time. Genetic mutation is a result of increased UVB radiation, as well as the increased solubility of mercury, arsenic, and selenium compounds out of aqueous solution. So UVB radiation has many effects on life at the surface of the planet, and none of them are good. Reduced crop harvests is a result of UVB radiation increase, as well as materials degeneration at an accelerated rate. So the increase in UVB radiation is something that really does need to be responsibly addressed. And if cannabis can replenish the atmosphere with the aerosols that are needed, then we need to start talking about basing our crop selection on the terpene production capabilities of the crops that we plant. Now, one of the interesting things about the atmospheric aerosols, the monoterpenes, is that they don't photodegrade in sunlight. They are rained from the atmosphere after serving as cloud condensation nuclei. And so the rain that falls on the earth that has the terpenes as the nuclei is a terpene enhanced rain. And the significance of this is that the terpenes are known to have antiviral, antifungal, and antibiotic properties that it just stands to reason play a role in purifying the hydrologic cycle, as well as shielding the planet from UVB radiation. The terpenes in the atmosphere also help to kill the viruses and the pathogens that are in the water and perform that environmental service in helping to purify the hydrologic cycle. Some of the photographs that I see coming up on the screen are different phases in my my development as a cannabis scholar. I've been involved with breeding the plant, growing the plant, working with the products of the plant to produce building materials, and just working to expand our appreciation of cannabis. I've been working for about 25 years in this field, and the benefits of the plant are so many that it's really impossible to name them all. And so when you look at the cumulative effect and the cumulative benefit of cannabis in our bodies and in healing the climate change that we're facing, it really can be said that cannabis is our functional interface with the natural order. I don't believe our species can exist on this planet without the benefits of the cannabis plant. And while that may sound like kind of an extreme, fanatical thing to say, consider that we are facing irreversible systemic collapse of our environment, of our economic system, and of the social order that depends on the health of the environment and the integrity of the systems that have been in balance for thousands of years. And just in the last century or so, we've disrespected nature to the point where we don't know how much longer the environment is going to maintain its balance. Certainly the increased temperatures of the planet and of the oceans, the death of all of the indicator species that indicate the systems that we depend on for our existence are in radical imbalance. We're seeing species extinction like we've never seen before in recorded history. And it is a matter of time before the systems no longer support each other, and the impact of all of the things that we've done to this planet add up to an unlivable future. And I happen to think that because cannabis is such an extraordinary crop and has the potential for mitigating the damage that we've done, it is critically important that we prioritize the end of cannabis prohibition so that we can use what we have to fix what needs to be fixed. The reality is if we don't resolve climate change, then it really won't matter what other problems we do resolve. And unfortunately, the limiting factor in our success seems to be time, and whether or not we have enough time to plant all of the different areas of the planet that can be healed by the cannabis plant remains to be seen. But cannabis, we know, serves a function in healing our bodies on a cellular level, and nutritionally, it produces the best source of organic vegetable protein on Earth. And yet, at this point, we still haven't come to appreciate that the Earth itself has a need for the cannabis plant, in that the organisms that used to produce the oxygen and sequester the carbon and produce the atmospheric aerosols to protect the Earth from the sun, those organisms have been depleted and degraded considerably. 50% the boreal forests have been cut mostly to make paper. The phytoplankton in the seas are also severely depleted, and yet there's very little attention being directed in these areas, and that's the really concerning situation, is that there aren't enough people talking about cannabis and its relation to climate change. It serves to sequester carbon, it serves to lock up the carbon in durable materials, building materials. Hempcrete is a very, very important development in the cannabis industry that can help to sequester carbon, not just during the growing cycle of the plant, but also during the curing process of hempcrete itself. It sequesters somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 pounds of carbon per cubic meter. So even building with hempcrete plays a role in the carbon sequestration that's necessary to reduce the temperatures on the planet. And because cannabis is a non-invasive pioneer crop, it's capable of expanding the arable base with an agricultural resource that can produce protein and complete nutrition at the same time that it's producing energy and fiber and a lot of other things that we need in order to wean ourselves from our addiction to fossil fuels and nuclear power, which is destroying the planet. So because cannabis is unique in its ability to produce complete nutrition and sustainable biofuels from the same harvest, it is exceptionally important that we recognize how vital it is for us to grow this crop to resolve our need for energy without inducing food insecurity. And that's the kind of the big deal about cannabis, is that it's the only crop that does that. And that fact has not really been fully appreciated and considered in the context of the environmental changes that we're witnessing. It is extremely important to identify cannabis as an essential crop, as a strategic resource, as it has been identified in 7 presidential executive orders in the United States. Cannabis has been identified as a strategic food resource in 7 presidential executive orders in this country. And it certainly is exceptional in its production of complete nutrition. It's the only crop that produces all of the essential fatty acids in proper proportion for long-term consumption. It also produces meaningful quantities of the essential amino acids and a lot of other essential nutrients that are just not available in meaningful quantities and proper proportion from other crops. So, in particular, the edestin protein and the albumin protein that's contained in the cannabis seed is the foundation of our immune systems, which, under the conditions of increasing UVB radiation and increased pollution, are under increasing pressure from the toxicity of the environment. So it's especially important nowadays for people to be eating cannabis and to be taking advantage of the exceptional nutritional properties of the plant, at the same time that we're also developing the dietherapeutic, the earth healing industries associated with the use of the fiber and the chlorophyll, or the cellulose contained in the stem. It's exceptional to talk about all of the different properties that the plant has that no other plant has. And it really begins to sound kind of extreme to start listing all of the things that cannabis does better than any other agricultural resource. Just for example, the bast fiber, the exterior fiber of the stem, is apparently the best material to use in the production of high-density carbon to make superconductors, essentially batteries, and electrical storage devices. And there are properties of the fiber itself that have been shown to be effective in dealing with MRSA, the MRSA, the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus infection that is sickening 90,000 people in the United States with staph infections, and killing about 17,000 people a year as a result of those infections. So, there are a lot of properties that cannabis offers to mankind that establish it as valuable beyond the rightful jurisdiction of any court. If cannabis is essential to our existence on this planet, and I truly believe that it is, particularly because of its effect on climate change and the short window of time, the very rapidly closing window of time that we have to have an effect on climate change, then we need to recognize cannabis not as an illegal plant, but as an essential plant. And we need to recognize that the forces that are trying to limit or overburden the industry and the agricultural practices of farming cannabis are attempting to control an industry that is beyond control. Prohibition has proved itself to be counterproductive to its own stated objectives, and so there can be no hesitation in ending prohibition of this plant and beginning the massive agricultural campaign that's needed in order to replenish the atmosphere with the terpenes and to recover balance in the atmosphere so that we can look forward to a livable future and not one that is characterized by systemic imbalance and eventually collapse. So in 2014, the International Panel on Climate Change warned of cascading systems failures and nonlinear extinction level events. And these are things that are looming in our future. We don't know how much time we have to make a difference. And so if there's a strong message that needs to be communicated, is that we can't wait to implement these solutions. The solutions require time to have an effect. And so I encourage people to read my book. It's available online from Amazon. And also there's a film on Vimeo by the same title, Cannabis versus Climate Change on Vimeo. Documents my career and features interviews with people who share their insights on the value of the plant and why it's so important for us to achieve a polar shift in values that will help everyone's children progress into a livable future. And really, it remains to be seen whether our species is adaptable enough to recover from the great lie of 1937, where we were told that the THC is bad for the human body. Well, now we know that that's not true. We know that it is in fact good for the human body for many reasons. In many cases, it is the difference between life and death. Many people have been apparently cured by using cannabis to treat a number of ailments and illnesses. So there really is no reason not to implement these solutions, because what we're facing is so much more dangerous and, in fact, potentially extinctionistic, that if we don't recognize that we were given everything that we need by the Creator, whatever you like to call that energy. Some people call it God, I call it the great, you name it, because whatever you want to call it is fine with me. But the fact is, cannabis was given to us by that force of nature, and the fact that we have not used it for the last 80 years in this country, in my country, has influenced cannabis policy all around the world. And it really has got to stop, because at some point there will be a point of no return, a tipping point that we can't recover from. And so
I hope that people watching this broadcast and listening to the other presenters at the World Hemp Congress will recognize that time is the limiting factor in the equation of our survival. And we have to implement these solutions quickly and on a massive scale if our children are to have a livable world in the future.
So thank you very much, Mr. von Hartmann. We are very proud of your speech, and bye-bye in United States.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Stay with us. Stay with us. See us. We are proud of your work. Thank you very much. Now we are in European Union with Mr. Daniel KRUSE, and he will talk about hemp situation in European Union. Stay with us, Paul. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Hello and good day to Slovenia. Good day to everybody here at the World Hemp Congress. And hello and good day to the world. First of all, thank you also, Paul, for the thrilling and motivating introduction. And thank you, MAJDA, for making this Congress happen again. I'm honored to be here, and I will give you a short presentation on the current overview on EIHA, the European Industrial Hemp Association, and our industry. The latest change on our board of directors was voted and elected on our last general meeting. You can see here the resigned former President John Hobson, after 11 years of very successful work for our association. He resigned, and our new president was elected on 31st of May, Mark Reiners of the company Hempflex in Holland. We also have a new deputy elected on that general meeting. It is Sylvester Bertuccelli from the Chambre in France, and we have a new member, new board member. It's Boris Banas from HCL Europe. The present hemp industry, you can see on this map the little symbols, the hemp leaf symbols are our association's regular members. And we got 14 regular members in total right now, and 122 associate members from 35 countries worldwide. The last year was a record year for the cultivation area in Europe, with 25,000 hectares. Also with the members, regular members and associate members of our association, and also with the attendance and visitors of our last conference. Here you can see the numbers again, and we have a very strong increase of members in the last years. Our association cooperates, of course, with associations all around the world. You can see the names down here on this slide. And it's very important to exchange the information that we gather and that we summarize on every different continent of the world to help each other to fully understand the potential of the hemp plant. Here you have little slide to see the country distribution of our members. Still Germany and the Netherlands, and meanwhile also the United States are have the largest number of members in our association. And here you have the 14 regular members as they are currently. One of the biggest decisions of our last general meeting was actually the second last meeting was already that we created special interest groups for specific topics, specific issues that need our attention. And for all regular members, it is possible to join the groups, to share the know-how, to share ideas, and also, of course, to gather the solid scientific data to, for example, work on the CBD issues, on THC, either regarding the crop limit or the food limits or guiding values that are out there and maybe have to change or reconsider. As I said before, the 13th International Conference of the European National Hemp Association, which was in June, beginning of June this year, was a big success. We never had that many visitors. In total, you can see that we have 290 participants from 42 countries, which is a really, really great success. Of course, on the website EIHA.org, you will find lots of information, not only the studies, reports, presentations from every single conference in the past, but also studies or reports that are getting published from different experts all around the world, and of course, especially for the European hemp industries, the latest information of the markets and the latest developments. The hemp cultivation area, as mentioned before, has increased strongly in the last years, especially from 2012 to 2015. And 25,000 hectares is a record year, as far as I remember, since 60 years. As an association, we try our best to gather and summarize data. It is very important to have this data available for, first of all, authorities that are that need this information to decide, to rule, possible new regulations, maybe even financial support for renewable resource like hemp. And also, secondly, for the media, we have to get the media's attention to bring up our point. And thirdly, for our industry itself, we need this data to establish a solid overview on the industry's strength, and it will help everybody in the industry to be able to have this data for his own company or for his own venture available. The newest survey will be is already out. The information is getting gathered right now, and we are trying to have all the information available by end of the year, latest, of course, at the next conference in 2017. I will give you a little, a very short overview on the results of the 2015 survey. For example, you can see the tons of hemp fibers produced in the European hemp industry or by the European hemp industry, you not only can see the total tons, but also, of course, the applications that those fibers are used in. As you can see here, the automotive composites are still the most important use of fibers, shortly followed by insulation material. Also very important is for us to gather information on pricing from the hemp materials that our industry is working with and producing. As you can see, hemp fibers still have a price advantage versus flax fibers. And shifts in tons and of course also their applications. You can see here 43,000 tons of hemp chips were produced, and annual bedding is the most important use. Well, my personal favorite when it comes to hemp and hemp raw material are the hemp seeds. One of the probably more sophisticated food raw materials the world has to offer. We can see here the tons, production of hemp seed in tons, and of course again also the applications or the usage of those seeds. And food and food oil are the biggest markets and uses for the seeds currently harvested from hemp plants. Additionally, since a very short time, CBD has increased prominence in the hemp industry, and it is a very important alternative product, alternative raw material, so that there are several usages for the hemp harvest. And as you can see here, there was a very large increase from 2010 to 2015 by 3,000%. Further growth is even expected in the next year. Another important issue that we try to do our best on as an association is to hand out information in various ways next to the flyer or booklet describing the different applications or usages of hemp. We also printed a poster. It might be only a small thing, but it's very important to have this information available. There are still a lot of people, especially there are still a lot of authorities that have not either heard of hemp or not have all the information available that they need to be even more interested. And on my last visit to Brussels with Michael KRUSE, our CEO of the association, we actually found a poster on hemp and various applications of the hemp plant in the ministry, in the hallway of the ministry, and we were so happy about this that we decided we have to do a new version of this poster to present all the information in a very, very small, focused way. Another big step was the ISCC Plus certification for hemp. It is actually the first certification of natural fiber worldwide, and that was the reason why the EIHA support supports the cost for all members. For example, my colleague Mr. DeLaws is right next to me. His company HARTMANN and also Mark Reiner's company Hemp in Holland, they already passed the certification. They are certified, and we just recently published a press release on both certifications. As an example, you can see here how this looks. You can, every member, every fiber producer can apply for this certification, and it is a statement on the international sustainability and carbon certification, which is also very important, for example, for the automotive industry. As you remember from the slides before, is the main and most important customer for hemp fibers. Next to HARTMANN and HempFlex, you can see some other smaller or some also larger companies here on this slide that are have already certified their products or interested in this certification. It is a multi-stakeholder initiative, and it gets governed by the association. By an association with 83 members. The main activities of the European Industrial Hemp Association for the next 1 or 2 years will be position papers, press releases, lobbying, and meetings on the most important issues that we feel and see for the future, for the short-term future. We need an update on THC guidance values for food. There are some in Germany, but they are kind of out of date. And we need guidance values for all European member states. The THC limits for industrial hemp varieties should go back to the limit of 0.3 on the field, so that there are more choices for the right hemp variety, which we mean, what we mean with that is, there are varieties right now that produce large amounts of fibers and sheath, but you also need more choices for hemp varieties that produce hemp seeds. We need a harmonized CBD legislation. It is very important to differentiate between high, medium, and low CBD concentrations in various products, from food to prescribed medication and pharmaceutical products. Of course, as always, and that's why we're so interested in all the data, the first step is to have a solid and updated scientific background information. Based on this, the CBD interest group, but also, of course, also the THC group and experts and the board itself will develop position papers. Well, why should you join EIHA? This is a very short question and even a shorter answer. Well, you should do it to support hemp, to support the hemp industry. And here I give you a couple of examples what your benefits are when you join our association. Of course, regular members are featured in the leaflets that we update every 1 or 2 years. We have those special interest groups where you can join the discussion and join the solution for a couple of very, very important issues and problems and challenges. And we have also a kind of a hemp marketplace, so that we get a strong increasing number of inquiries and requests from outside the industry that we are circulating to all members, of course. Then there is the database. I already mentioned that. We already have like more than 400 presentations, reports, and documents available online. And again, help the hemp industry to grow, help lobbying, and so that the policy doesn't forget hemp. And with your support, we can work on more and more on our, we can continue with our work for the hemp industry. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Daniel. Nice to see you, nice to hear you. Yes, Slovenia must know where is the place of many producers. So in the membership of EIHA, we have this year's progress one step here, and we made it Slovenian Association of government together take all producers, and they will go in EIHA Park, so you will have many new memberships there. So we will call Paul, and we will take 5 minutes short break, and we will see Paul Benheim, and we fly in Australia. I think so that Paul is in Australia. We fly all the time around. Thank you very much. 5 minutes.
You're trying to call Paul, right?
Yes.
But you should Paul Benheim, not Paul van Ham.
Oops. Yes, but we just.
The person who you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
us?
Yes, I
Oh,
can.
nice to see you. Where are you today? In Australia, Japan, United States, where are you?
I'm in Australia today, yes.
Wonderful. Audience expect you. So we just arrange technical stuff, just a second.
Okay. You're going to change the slides, your slides.
Yes, I will open slides ready for you.
Okay, and you've got the new file I sent today.
New slides you need?
Yeah, I sent them already this morning.
Yeah, I have some slides from 2 days before. If they are sent?
No, new ones, slightly different.
No, I have new ones. Oh.
I did send, and someone downloaded it already.
Just a second. Sorry for this. No, summary. This is not information. I have a couple of slides here.
No, the innovation one is for Dan,
Yes.
who is
Hold it.
presenting later today, yeah?
Yes. Hold it. Okay. Slides. I'm just a little bit confused here.
Okay, my slide is very similar to the last one. It's WHG 2016. Not Dan's slide.
Sorry.
Yeah, someone downloaded it 5 hours ago.
Sorry?
You downloaded my new presentation 5 hours.
I have this. Just a second. We downloaded it. Sorry. Martin, we see everything? You can see us, Paul? And
I can see you perfectly.
audience, and you can see audience, Paul?
I cannot see audience.
Okay.
The audience gets, am I going to have my video on while I'm presenting, or?
You can start it with your speech, but we will find your presentation in a minute or two. But you can talk about your work. Maybe the audience hear you and be free.
Okay, great. So there are, I guess there's lots of people there already.
Yes, they see you online. It's not so full audience like we expect. We expect just a little bit later, much more people. But anyway, audience see you.
Great. I'm very pleased to see everybody here joining again for another World Hemp Congress. It's very exciting.
Yes, this year we are together 5 years. Yes.
It has been 5 years.
First, second, birthday. Yeah, oh, and happy birthday. You have birthday yesterday. Oh. Technique, case, can you, Martin? Something is on. I cannot open this file. I don't know what happened.
You have it already or no?
All presentation of the rest of the this is no? Or can you send to me in attachment email with your file? I'm sorry, we cannot open here.
Okay, otherwise I can play live from my screen if you can see me.
Yeah, we can see you, but it's slightly a problem. We cannot open this, your file. Just attachment your slides, please. Simple attachment.
Yeah. Well, I can only send you a link. Yeah. It's been sent, you should have them.
So we have some.
We'll have some CBD, by the way.
Yeah.
No problem, we have 15 minutes on the meeting.
We have your old slides. Yeah, 15 minutes for your slide, you need 15 minutes. We don't like
find your slide.
Okay.
No, this is one. Paul, can we use your old slides?
We all have different slides, so maybe you can just watch my video. Can you not see the slides on your video screen now?
We can see you live, but we cannot.
Here we can see the video in the slideshow.
Yeah. We need 15 minutes for the preparation of this, and you are just a little bit late.
Can you see the slideshow of saying how does hemp inspire you on the screen?
So I open it.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see. How does hemp inspire you? You can talk.
So I can present my.
Okay. Sorry for this. We have a bad connection. So, minute, do you start it?
You tell me when you want me to start, and I shall begin.
Mislim, da lahko začnemo. Thank you for your understanding, audience. We fly in Australia with Paul Bentham. Paul, very welcome in World Hemp Congress this year, fifth time. How does hemp inspire you? Please explain to us. Word is yours.
Thank you very much, MAJDA, and welcome everybody to the World Hemp Congress, where I hope to begin by sharing some of the things that have inspired me to become involved with hemp. So before we go ahead, I know that we have many wonderful speakers from around the world at this event today and over the next few days ahead of us. And everybody here has an inspiring story because I feel that everybody involved with hemp today is making a difference, is making a very significant difference to the world around us. And if we look at the world around us, as I'll talk about very shortly, we need to make a difference. So, I'm going to ask again, how does hemp inspire you? I'm going to see if my slides change. I cannot see, there we go. Is it a fact that hemp has been featured since 4,000-year-old Egyptian hieroglyphics? Records have shown that it was used for fiber and medicine for that many thousands of years ago. Or was it that the first hemp paper was invented in China many thousands of years ago or so? Slide change. Is it the astonishing fact that since 5,900 years ago, hemp has been, in fact, the Earth's most important commodity? And it is only just for the last 80 years that Earth's most persecuted commodity was hemp. Recently, again, hemp is now being seen as Earth's most important commodity yet again. Next slide, please. Is it because of this scare campaign of the 1930s, when the newly formed synthetic pharmaceutical and petrochemical industry launched a bank and politicians supported attack on hemp to eliminate it as competition, and successfully had? Next slide, please. And in 150 countries. Next slide, please. Or is it the pollution that is now growing widely around the world? Next slide, please. Or the rate that we are poisoning ourselves and the planet is out of control through waste and one-off use of our natural resources that have taken many thousands, if not millions of years to create, and yet a few minutes to use up. Next slide, please. Could it be the deforestation, mining, oil production, modern monoculture farming, genetically modified foods, or pharmaceutical drugs that have now overtaken all diseases in countries like America as our #1 killer? Next slide. Now, let's stop to consider what we could create with hemp, as solutions for a greener planet truly are possible. Next slide, please. First and foremost for me is what hemp offers to human health. It is a unique source of food and medicine, unlike anything else. Next slide. I discovered this as a young entrepreneurial adult in the United Kingdom when I first started to sell products like the dairy-free hemp ice cream. Next slide, please. Did you know that ignoring the water content, 60% of the human brain is made of omega-3 and omega-6, 30% each. That's my brain on hemp. Next slide, please. And you and I are not the only ones interested in hemp foods. Search terms on Google are growing rapidly. Next slide, please. Does it excite you at the thought of living in a hemp house and driving a hemp car? Powered by, next slide please. Oh, I think you jumped ahead of the slide.
Hemp seeds?
Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. And then I was going to say that hemp battery is in fact now better than graphene technology. But as an example, here is how easy it is to benefit the environment simply by using hemp foods products. Australians drive an average of 270 kilometres per week. And based on one study we found, this driving releases 50 kilograms of CO2 into the air. Every time you purchase 1 kilo bag of hemp seeds and a 500 milliliter bottle of hemp oil, you in fact remove 70 kilos of CO2 from the air, more than what your car produces in a whole week. That inspires me. Next slide, please. To your Steve.
Sorry, Paul.
Sample. So the beginning, come back to the end. Keep going back. Keep going back.
Tell me number of your slides. So
18, number 18.
So 13. What? Yeah.
18.
18. Organic.
Yes.
Okay.
With products made from hemp plastic. Hemp plastic is being used in creative ways, and we start to replace the petrochemical plastic waste we saw earlier. Next slide, please. While wearing hemp clothes and hemp waterproofing is now environmentally sustainable, but also stylish too. Now, the next slide, please. Oh, no, we're on slide 20.
Yes, we see you. And slide.
You have that whole slideshow. Be good. I will try and work with you.
Thank you.
You have a different slideshow to me. No problem. We will talk about the news that has been heard more recently. Next slide, please. In many countries around the world, there are reports, news reports claiming miraculous outcomes in a variety of health issues like pain, epilepsy, Alzheimer's, PTSD, cancer, and more. Next slide, please. The technical knowledge how to breed, grow, manufacture, and produce products from cannabis plants has improved a lot in the past decade. Next slide, please. And for children with epilepsy, getting access to CBD oil can literally be a matter of life and death. This has brought me to tears more than once, and inspired me to start the company Elixinol, one of the world's premier stable, safe, and pure CBD hemp oil companies based in Colorado, USA. Next slide, please. As you can see, the search for cannabinoid CBD in the category of health has really skyrocketed in this last year. Next slide, please. There is many stories about diseases or symptoms in patients that have not held any hope for generations, who have woken up to the life-enhancing possibilities of CBD from hemp. Next slide, please. We have gathered so much anecdotal evidence on dementia, PTSD, diabetes. Next slide, please. And even in pain, and with cigarette addiction too. Next slide, please. Due to the hundreds of cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids that come from hemp being studied by our global team. Next slide, please. And we are not the only ones. Next slide, please. As is shown in the amount of research and publications on hemp recently. Next slide, please. Maybe the making of the hemp genome will help, the mapping of the hemp genome will help scientists create a breakthrough in cannabis science. Next slide, please. This is a picture of me. You can see it's 50 parts of hemp flowers, ready to clean and drop in before extraction. I enjoy visiting our partners in production whenever possible. Slide, please. Me as much as I enjoy visiting the farmers. Is that okay, Mike? Next slide, please. Some of whom use new and novel harvesting technology. Next slide, please. Without the hundreds of hectares of hemp that we grow on pristine, clean land, maybe we would not be inspired to produce these life-changing products like Elixinol's X-Hemp or tinctures. Next slide, please. My slideshow is very different to yours.
Paul is 36.
Yeah, very long slideshow. And in Holland, they even use leaves to make non-psychoactive tea. Next slideshow, please. The hemp fibre processing lines that take the stalk from the field and separate the fibre from the herb or shoot may inspire you. The fibre is well known for its use in fabrics like textiles, but did you also know it's the base for car parts, insulation, garden mulch mats, and more? Slide, please. Here is the inside of a car door panel. Many cars are now produced using hemp, including Mercedes, BMW, Ford, Jaguar. Why? Because hemp is lighter, cheaper, more biodegradable, and has better audio properties than the alternative. Next slide, please. The processing line that produces building panels from hemp shoots is also very exciting. New. Next slide, please. This 9-story hemp building stores in large amounts of carbon from the air, helping the effects of global warming. Next slide, please. Here are some of the panels at the bottom of the screen. being installed. At the top of the screen, you can see that hemp is not defined in any one type of building. Next slide, please. And in fact, small eco-villages where hemp buildings are combined with permaculture principles of organic farming, sustainable animal care, fresh water purification, and more have always been an inspiration to me. Next slide, please. Hemp inspires all cultures. Hemp stalk is used to produce charcoal for many uses, including fireworks, both in China and in Japan. Next slide, please. Now, of course, let's not forget about the use of hemp as plastics. Next slide, please. Here are some 3D printed, biodegradable hemp-based plastics that I produced this year that are now commercially available for sale. Next slide, please. Every part of the hemp plant is used, in fact. Nothing at all is wasted. Next slide. I can't see what's screen, but as far as I'm aware, that is what inspires me to be involved with hemp. These are the things that make hemp work for me. I wonder what inspires you, and hope you can join too with the inspiration of hemp making a change.
Well, maybe just a little bit more words about your product, Simon. You have here many interesting public. Maybe word or two, please.
Sure, I'm very happy to share more about Elixinol and all that we create with our global team. We have a team based in the USA, we have a team in the UK, we have a team in Germany, we have a team in South Africa, we have a team in Japan, we have a team in Australia, and we work with many other people in other countries who we hope will join us in the not too distant future in creating what we believe is the most groundbreaking, newest change that hemp is bringing to our planet. I've been involved with hemp for over 2 decades, and personally I've found that the use of hemp as a medicine has been the biggest surprise. Even though we know hemp has been used as medicine for many decades, and that there is many thousand scientific studies, including many human double-blind placebo-controlled studies, to prove that high CBD, and in fact, with low THC, hemp can make a significant difference for many, many different ailments and symptoms that have been unable to be found to make any change with other medicines. The anecdotal evidence that we have is clear. Our medical team and team of medical professionals that we train, have created around the world, have proven to us that this inspiring use of hemp is possibly the most important discovery of our lifetime. We believe that this is only the very beginning, and the innovations that you will hear later on today from one of our R&D team, of some of our latest findings in our lab, really has proven to me that we have a long way to go in sharing these materials with the public. We can make a big difference by sharing very safe, very predictable, stable products made from industrial hemp without having the dangers of being illegal. And let's not forget, the only issue with hemp being illegal anywhere in the world is the tetrahydrocannabinol issue. The issue of hemp and THC, which we have been scaremongered into thinking is extremely dangerous. We don't need to comment on that because we can make very safe and very effective medicines and health supplements and foods from high cannabidiol or CBD products without going against these laws. Even as we watch countries around the world change rapidly their political and understanding, as well as their scientific understanding about why hemp products, particularly high CBD products, and even THC products, should be allowed. We have developed different delivery methods. We have understood the different terpene, flavonoid contents of different varieties. We have worked with seed breeders to produce particular varieties that we now prefer. We have spent a significant amount looking at how we will process these products in the safest, most gentle way to actually keep what nature has already intended and provided us to be the most important medicine for us. We have learned to identify other herbs and other plants that we can synergistically incorporate into future products that can make a significant difference. More recently, as you will see from future products coming from our company, you will see that topical products can make a significant difference, that our body absorbs what we put on it for our skin. We have seen some absolutely, I can't think of a better word than miraculous results from some of these products. Of course, to be able to prove the effects of these products takes time, and to bring products out to the public will take time. But in the meantime, the simple form of safety extracting cannabinoids using supercritical fluid extraction, using the most safest extraction solvents that are already in the air, using oxygen, we can create very, very effective medicines. Now, I'm sure you've all seen all of the press and the news around these medicines globally. Well, I believe that what you're seeing is just the beginning. Do people have things to fear? Do pharmaceutical companies have things to fear? I disagree with this. I believe that pharmaceutical companies are very sensible and will take advantage of the fact that they have something now without the side effects. The Australian government has recently made the largest study on the toxicity of cannabidiol in humans, and they found that absolutely there is no problem with toxicity. At over 50 or 100 times the dose that is recommended to people, there are no side effects of cannabidiol and hemp-based dietary supplements. So we look forward to working with you, with people, with individuals, with doctors, with naturopaths, with pharmaceutical companies, in improving and distributing these products to as many people who need them as soon as we can. I hope you will join with us and learn more at elixirol.com about how we can work with you to provide what we believe is the most inspiring change for humankind, a change that is as important as healthy, clean water and clean foods. We hope that you will join, and any questions you have, I'm willing to answer right now.
Yes, we have questions here. Maybe audience have question? No? Maybe how is with legislation of CBD, global or local? Have you some problem, or maybe word or two? Yes.
The legislation of CBD is very different in many different countries. In a lot of countries, the governments have not made any legislation for CBD. The reason being is that CBD is non-psychoactive and it has no problem, and it has never needed to be incorporated in any legislation before. The use of CBD has been around for a very long time. But people have only just started to recognise this today, and governments have realised that maybe they need to actually create legislation. So some governments, for example in North America, are starting to create this such legislation. But other countries such as Brazil, Mexico, United Kingdom, and other European countries have absolutely no problem and actually promote the use of not, as long as it's non-psychoactive, low THC products containing high CBD for use with people. Of course, without having full clinical trials, we cannot yet make the medical claims that we would like to be able to make. These things are in progress, will take some years. But in the meantime, we are able to sell our CBD extracts in many countries around the world without any problems. And in fact, in my recent trip to Japan, the First Lady of Japan bought some CBD products for her husband, the President of Japan, and we were very honoured to supply them the Elixir products. This is just one of many examples of many people who purchase products from us and get some phenomenal results. And it's because these are non-psychoactive that it is completely legal.
I hope the government is here. And maybe about question, is CBD only from hemp, or you need to use medical cannabis? And second question, okay, and this answer, please. What do you use in your products? Is this hemp, or what is looking up?
It's a good question, MAJDA. I mean, it's very important to understand what these terms mean. The term cannabis sativa is the Latin name for hemp, for marijuana, medical cannabis. All these other names are simply terms that have been made up to communicate something. And really, the only thing that's important to communicate the differences is whether something is high THC or low THC. And this is defined in different places around the world, but it's usually either 0.2 or 0.3% of tetrahydrocannabinol. That is the limit that determines the difference between industrial hemp and marijuana. Things that get you high or the things that don't get you high. Cannabidiol or CBD may be extracted from either medical cannabis or industrial hemp. Elixir and all the companies that I work with only extract from industrial hemp. We do not use any high THC plants, and we do not provide or promote any products with over 0.2% THC in them. And this is mainly for legal reasons, the ease of use. But cannabidiol or CBD is found in both forms, because both are just simply cousins of each other, with the main difference being only THC.
So maybe about CBD and disease, where CBD help?
I would love to be able to share with you how CBD can help many different diseases. Now, legislation in the countries that I work in do not allow me to tell you how hemp has healed the people that we work with anecdotally. I cannot tell you how it has helped people who have tried every kind of medicine and then tried CBD, and even in such a short period of time. We are not allowed to make medical claims for our products, nor do we make any medical claims for our products. But the evidence is very clear. The reason our company has grown to become one of the biggest and most well known, and why we supply many hundreds of brands around the world with their raw materials, is because we have learned to stabilize and ensure we create very same doses, and we know exactly what's in each of our products. By using this and by ensuring there's no chemicals, no pesticides, no problems with microbiology, that we are very confident that what we provide gives the most benefits. And when those benefits exist, then it's simply by word of mouth that these products get promoted. And we cannot advertise in many different regular avenues, but what we can do is communicate with the doctors that come to us in private, and the doctors are capable of making up their own decisions. And it is now doctors and pharmacists that actually represent the main driving force and for promotions of CBD products around the world.
So maybe last question. Use some hospital CBD legal or like a medicine anywhere in the world?
Yes, indeed. I'll give you an example. One of the countries that we now work in is Brazil, where products are actually paid for by the Brazilian government. So they're actually paid for and supported through the on-visa process. And this is where they are allowed to be used in hospitals around the world. But in all the countries that we work in, all of the countries, there are doctors that prescribe or use and promote CBD products.
Thanks. Let me have some questions.
Yes, hello Paul. Here's Daniel from Hemp International. Nice to see you there on the street. I would just like to talk about hemp foods for a minute. As far as I understood from our former talks, hemp food was illegal in Australia, but you mentioned that they were thinking about changing that regulation. Did they actually change the regulation already, or are you still the biggest illegal hemp food dealer in the world?
Yes, we are still the largest manufacturer of hemp foods in the Southern Hemisphere, and as it stands to this moment, we are not legally allowed to sell seeds or hemp oil or hemp protein powders as a food in Australia or New Zealand. The only exception to that is selling hemp seed oil in New Zealand. But this pass or this lack of legislative government change is expected to happen quite soon. Our government's independent advisory board, Food Standards Australia and New Zealand, actually came out with a most recent study a few weeks ago, where they yet again recommended hemp as a food. And it is within this study that the government funded, where they actually studied CBD in very much detail as well, saying that CBD would not be a problem in food use. There is a timeline that is recommended where hemp foods may again be allowed in Australia as a food for the first time actually in December of this year. But this will be the third try of allowing hemp as a food in Australia. The only difference this time is that there is no individual pushing the case. It is actually the government and the government's own legislative authority that has recommended hemp be allowed as a food. I'm guessing that's partly because it's quite embarrassing to them that our company employs many people, is growing, we've won export awards, we have many government ministers visit us and enjoy our hemp food products in our facility here in Australia.
Okay. Thank you very much for the update, and I'm looking forward to see you at the Canadian Hemp Convention in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Daniel. I'll see you then.
Oh, last question again. This is the third last question. CBD and herbs. Can you find CBD in any other food or herbs and anything what you can grow in this answer?
It was originally said that CBD or cannabidiol, which is obviously named after the cannabis plant, only comes from the cannabis plant. That is actually not true. We have found other sources of cannabidiol in other normal crops and grains that do exist around the world. However, these crops cannot be harvested commercially viable at the moment for cannabidiol. And also it is just cannabidiol that comes from these plants. It's not all of the 5 different cannabinoids, terpenes or flavonoids that come together as a package within the industrial hemp or the cannabis plant. So, and it is also in, cannabinoids are actually produced in the human body, but only, as far as we are aware at this moment in time, it's only produced by mothers in mother's milk when they are feeding a baby, which is when we produce the endocannabinoids within our system. So yes, cannabinoids can come from other plants. Yes, our bodies can also produce cannabinoids themselves. However, due to our diet, due to the changes, significant changes that have happened within the last 100 years in our society, they have changed so very much from eating fresh, raw foods and raw plants, all of our nutrition. And we are very much, it seems, lacking in cannabinoids. And that cannabis sativa or industrial hemp is the #1 source of cannabinoids in the world and continue to be so.
Thank you very much, Paul. You are great. Very great. An applause, please, audience. Stay with us and we fly back to Slovenia, to Slovenian government, Ministry of Agriculture, and see us. And bye-bye, Paul. See you in Global Hemp Innovation today. Your team, I think, so. Yes? Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Simon, thanks for having us.
Torej, najavljam še gospoda Matjaža Grtmana iz Ministrstva za kmetijstvo, ki nam bo predstavil zadnji del našega prizadevanja v Sloveniji. So we have here Mr. Matjaž Grtman from Ministry of Agriculture, Republic of Slovenia.
Yeah, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture. And at this point, I would like to thank MAJDA that she was able to organize this global event for the 5th time here in Slovenia. I will give you a short presentation about the production of hemp in Slovenia and what we can expect from the further development. Well, growing of hemp in Slovenia began after 40 years actually in 2004 when we entered the European Union, when it was possible to start growing hemp again. At the beginning, there were just, let's say, 5 producers on 10 hectares, and but all of the fiber has been exported to Austria and processed there. And in the first years, let's say, up to 2010, there was no actual production. It was about 15 hectares and 6 growers. The bigger production on a bigger scale, but it's still a very small and niche product in our agriculture, started in 2010 when the producers started to grow hemp for seeds as well. And at that time, there was the first trials on producing hemp oil. But in the last 3 years, we see further development. So in last year, we had 565 growers, and hemp is grown on 420 hectares. In this year, we have a slight reduction, so it's only 450 growers, and hemp is grown on 360 hectares. In Slovenia, let's say until 2015, production of food products from hemp was not allowed, but in fact it was not allowed, it was not prosecuted, let's say it this way. It was some kind of a gray area, but in 2015, the Ministry of Agriculture succeeded to persuade the Ministry of Health, and so in 2015 the rules have changed and hemp can be legally used in food products as long as the content of the THC is less than 0.2%. In the last year, there was some further development under the organization of the Agriculture Chamber, where the association, the overall association for Slovenia was organized, and there are some, and also there are some groups have been formed, working parties for the selection of varieties, for the cultivation of hemp, and for the processing of hemp. And in 2014, there were some starts of production in our textile factory in Poland. They produce socks, and now they are producing socks, hemp socks, but at the moment the socks are actually produced from imported fiber because the fiber in Slovenia is not available yet. But there are some technical arrangements that are prepared with the hemp produced in Slovenia could be actually processed in Slovenia, and the fiber could be produced from Slovenian hemp, so that the whole socks could be produced from the fiber from the material grown in Slovenia. Well, actually, I'm looking further because this is very small area is grown, so it's just a niche product. And at the moment, if there are some questions, I'm willing to answer for the presentation.
Please, ask, microphone, please.
My name is Hannah, Czech Republic, and growing the hemp as well. And I'm interested because you mentioned that in Slovenia it's like 500 growers, which operate around like 500 hectares only, so it's like quite different average what we have in Czech Republic, because we have kind of like similar average of like hectares, but maybe just, I don't know, it's very close, not more. Yes, so how is organized like hemp growing in Slovenia? It's mostly like in harvested, or you have a machine, or how's like the distribution of these small amounts from small fields? I cannot imagine. Or how is it controlled also, because you as Minister of Agriculture or somebody to control the level of the CBD, and there is so many people involved. I'm just curious to hear it. And my second question is about the CBD content and THC content, because you mentioned that like you have a like for food, you have a like 0.2 limit, which means like you can like sell products which are like under 0.2 as a food. Okay. It's fixed in the legislation, or it's just tolerance? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Hannah.
Well, 0.2% in food is actually not yet fixed in legislation, but it's, let's just say, used in practice. So concerned the size of the plots. This is what we are doing here in Slovenia, because if you compare the size of agriculture farms in Czech Republic or Slovenia is 6 hectares. In Czech Republic, I believe it's over 200 hectares. So, yeah, well, the problem is because this is scattered around the country, this production of hemp. So it's actually, let's say, processed by each farmers by themselves in most cases. There are just a few producers, they produce more than, let's say, 2 hectares. But if you want to, let's say, a further development, we should, first of all, we should develop a kind of a processing plant. It's a kind of farmers association. The farmers will come together and grow hemp for the purpose of that plant. Well, another problem is actually, yes, because you said the harvest. Actually, harvesting for a farmer, it's not that problematic because, okay, it's not that easy, but it can be done. But with harvesting for seeds, there is a problem because you know that hemp is not maturing evenly, so it's a lot of losses on the field. So actually, the bigger producers, let's say, they own their own harvesters for wheat. They are quite successful because they have a machine available at the right time and in the right place, and you can actually make a certain arrangements to harvest hemp as well. But on the other hand, harvesting across the country, it's difficult. So there are not really any specialized machines yet available because it's the amount is just too small, and it's not possible, to go from one field to another to buy a machine. So this is what we are still working on. But I must say that this is on the side of the farmers. They should organize and put some parcels together and buy a machine. I mean, they exist, but they are not really, they're quite expensive.
There is a lot of social groups. We arrange them together and think about it, one machine and many producers. But in Slovenia is really a big problem for small parcels and small producers. It's typical for Slovenia. But I hope we will solve this. I have one question about Slovenian hemp. How is this shortage? We have Slovenian some assortment of hemp, and we wish to make it legal. This assortment of Slovenian hemp. Is this something new there?
Well, actually, there are not big news yet. There are some 4 cultivars available, and at the moment they are on the trial at our Agriculture Institute, and at the end, in the autumn, we are expecting the results of the trial. But what I've heard from some partial samplings, there are 2 varieties that their THC content is over 0.2, and it's around 0.5, and this might cause us a problem.
So another question from audience. Tomasz, please, microphone.
Hi. Just one question about the percentage in industrial hemp. Where's the difference between industrial use of hemp and drug use? Because in industrial use, we can use hemp for 1%. So if you use higher percentage of industrial use for fiber, we can use samples from the European hemp database, and the percentage of THC in the plant can be higher till 1%. So the difference between drugs and plant from industrial use is 1%. So if the hemp is 0.5% THC, then there can be no problem. But can be problem in the European Union for the export and import. My question is, why can we, or can we higher the limit of THC?
Thank you very much.
Well, if you ask me, frankly speaking, I don't know. This is the limit that has been arranged, and this is it for the moment. Like you heard before from the presentation from this guy from Australia, it's not even possible to use hemp for food. So the limit is 0.2% in Europe, 0.3% in Canada. This is the limit, let's say administrative limit between the industrial hemp and marijuana or cannabis, if you want. Yeah, well, this is administrative, political, health reason, you name it, but this is what we have accepted, this is what I have accepted, and there is still a, let's say, a long way to go to make, to legalize or to make arrangements for medical cannabis or to, I don't know, maybe legalize it, even in Slovenia, but this is a matter which should be dealt with the Ministry of Health. What we have done in the Ministry of Agriculture, this is what we have been able to succeed up to now. So, but yeah, like you said, this is an administrative limit. But on the other hand, I mean, I know from further discussions with you, okay, you might say this is the industrial hemp, it has 4% of THC, but it will be used for production of fiber. So if, I don't know, I will be frank now, if you are able to persuade our Ministry of Internal Affairs and Ministry of Health, this is possible to be grown on the field without any protection, that would be my guess. But on the other hand, yeah,